Yesterday we are saying this, once one perceives the practice of mindfulness, clearly seeing the impermanent nature of things, one comes to understand the non-self nature of things. With the practice of mindfulness, with the method of Satipatthana, way of mindfulness, activating mindfulness of psychophysical conditions, psychophysical phenomena, cultivating Anicca samadhi, momentary concentration, seeing things in a state of constant flux, the all giving place to the new, one perceives the impermanent nature of things clearly. And by seeing this, one also sees the nature of non-self. So, one perceives Anatta by this, that there's no Atta, there's no self or soul in it. Things arise on their own. It's just mere process rolling on. They're happening on their own, not through anybody's cause. So this has been fully supported by the textual explanations, that if one sees Anicca, one also sees Dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, and when one sees Dukkha, one also sees Anatta. If one sees one of these characteristics, then if one sees clearly one of these characteristics, one is said to be seeing also the remaining two characteristics. It goes without saying that when one observes Anicca, or understands fully this Anicca, impermanent nature of things, one comes to understand the unsatisfactory nature of things, and also the not-self nature of things. So when one sees impermanent, then one also sees it as not-self, non-self. In this way, seeing this Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, the three characteristics, beginning with the insight knowledge of Samasana Jnana, verified knowledge by comprehension, embarking upon the progressive series of insight, one comes to experience the maturity of knowledge, and also going through this from Samasana Jnana to Uddiyadhyaya Jnana, the fleeting momentary nature of experience, and then to seeing just the dissolution of psychophysical phenomena, Bhanga Jnana. This also is cultivating this Anatta Vipassana Jnana, contemplation of not-self. In this way, one finally realizes the ultimate cessation beyond the arising and passing away. In this way, by walking the right path, one reaches the right destination. By being able to note these four objects of attention, namely Kaya, Vedana, Citta, Dhamma, one of practicing the three trainings of Sila, Samadhi, Panya, and the Eightfold Path, which is Sumegha, the right path. If one walks on the right path, now practices Sumegha, the right practice, Megha Patipana, like practicing this Anatta Vipassana Jnana, the contemplation, cultivating the knowledge of the contemplation of not-self. One cultivates insight knowledge. Then one reaches a stage when one feels as though the noting mind and noting object are cast away all at once, at the flash of insight comes to cessation, such as Kemanta Bhumipada, the realization of the reaching the right destination, the safe land of peace and security. In this way, realizing this Nibbana is also realizing the contemplation of Anatta, the ultimate cessation. And at this stage, in order to explain this phenomenon, the late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw has given this maxim, Niyama, that once one sees Anatta, one enters into Nibbana. Thus, embarking on the progressive series of insight knowledge, as seeing this knowledge of the contemplation of not-self and Anatta, and coming to the maturity of this insight knowledge, one comes to the end of the road. As just like when you come to the end of the road, you find this village, your destination. So when the noting mind comes to an end, you reach the position or peace of Nibbana. You are entering into it. So as regards this realization of Nibbana, the knowledge of the contemplation of, through the knowledge of the contemplation of Anatta, one has been walking this path gradually, without rest, being guided by the reliable guide from the beginning of this path, walking the right path. And then one is walking along the path, there are transit points which are not identified. They may be good or bad. The traveler experiences such things during transit, while traversing the path. Whatever it is, the path is straight. You're walking straight along the path, and you reach the destination, or you are walking towards the destination, and there are transit points which you pass through, or you are going to pass through. There are no signboards to say which is which. You cannot identify these places, and since you have not experienced such transit points, stages of insight, traveling yogi will not be able to identify these transit points. So too, you are walking towards the direction of Kimanda Bhumi, the safe land, the right destination. In the practice of Satipatthana Bhavana, you have been walking all along, beginning with the cultivating the knowledge, progressing, embarking on the progressive stages of insight knowledge, beginning with the discernment of mind and body, and to the majority of insight knowledge. You are passing through these stages of insight. And for those who have no general knowledge, will not be able to identify which is which. What are these transit points? So, as for the traveler, the leader, after one has come to the end, the leader would identify these transit points, just like putting the signboards. Then the traveler will say, "Oh, is it so?" He or she may be thinking like this, may be able to identify such transit points or stages of insight. So do with the yogis being mindful all along the path of Satipatthana, the way of mindfulness, along these transit points of insight knowledge, through the stages of insight, you are passing through these things. And then until at last you are able to identify, in accordance with what has been given in the text literatures, that this insight stage is so and so. You come to identify it by putting a signboard on this stage. So now also you've traveled along this 2 months retreat, and for those, some of you might have already fulfilled their practice, or some of them might have not fulfilled as yet. Whatever it is incumbent upon the leader to identify this progress of insight, just like putting signboard. What has been so far said, one is practicing from the beginning of the so-called Samasara Jnana, verified knowledge by comprehension, comprehending and verifying the three characteristics through one's own personal experience. And from the start of this insight knowledge, knowing the nature of these conditioned psychophysical phenomena, until one comes to the Samasana Jnana. First, the Samasana Jnana, seeing the universal characteristics of arising and passing away, and then the unsatisfactory nature and the selfless nature of these objects, such as Samasana Jnana. So, with this Samasana Jnana, one is convinced of the universal characteristics of impermanence and so on. And when one continues to practice mindfulness continuously, without break, one comes to what is known as Udiyabhya Jnana, insight knowledge, stage of insight knowledge, known as Udiyabhya Jnana, fleeting momentary nature of experience. Observing this state of flux, constant flux, all giving place to the new in a very fast manner, such as all these activities, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and rising, falling, and so on, are rising and passing in a very fast manner. When one comes to the stage of Udiyavajnana, one feels very good. The practice is going well, and one may come to think as though one has come to the real gaining of insight knowledge, realizing extraordinary knowledge of insight at this Udiyavajnana. However, as the yogi who is practicing in accordance with the instructions of the teacher, one continues to, this kind of stage will be a motivation to him or her to continue his or her practice all along the path. So, although this stage, it is like gaining insight, extraordinary experience of insight, but this also will serve as an incentive for further exertion of practice. So it is necessary for Sayadaw to explain on this point. At this point, at this stage, one experiences or one sees the illuminations, vipassana, extraordinary rapturous joy, tranquility, and one's mindfulness becomes very sharp from the stage, rising from the stage of Upatita Sati, ordinary mindfulness, to Supatita Sati, steadfast mindfulness, so that the living mind is always steadfast, connected with the object in a steadfast manner, and the knowledge also becomes very, very sharp at this stage. And not only will one know the one with objects arising in the body, one also become aware of the past experiences, as though the past experiences are shown on a film, on a movie. Sometimes, for some people, one may even experience one may remember one's experiences in one's mother's womb, and then one will be able to tell to some extent, past experiences in an extraordinary manner. And if you feel as though you are coming into possession of Deva Chakku, the special eye, seeing the other worlds in a clear-cut manner, as also given in the text, awareness becomes very sharp, being aware of minute details even. Subtle objects are seen with subtle awareness, like you sometimes look through the microscope or electron microscope to see minute microscopic details, and you feel as though there's nothing you cannot note, there's nothing you are not aware of at that very moment. In this way, the practice becomes very deepened, the knowledge becomes very sharp, experience the well-being of both mind and body, and feeling rapturous feeling, as though this rapturous feeling is permeating through the pores of your body, and your experience is indescribable, unforeseeable. It is along the path, if you are able to experience such things like good feeling, body and mind, the permeating feeling, permeation of rapturous feeling, joy, and things like that, can be hindrance to your progress. They're known as imperfections of insight, upakilesas. For those who are deepening their practice and going very well, they come to experience good feeling or good experiences. They would say to themselves, "Oh, how nice it is!" As though they've taken some pot or coke, feeling on top of the world. So it can be very dangerous at this point, because you are so delighted, you feel overjoyed. So if it happens according to the rule of Satipatthana, if you continue to practice mindfulness, whatever arises, if there is any good feeling, just note as good. If there is any delightful thing, just note as delight, and note and abandon. Then you can progress along the path. Otherwise, if you take delight in it, you say, oh, it's so nice, it is as good as pot or coke, I am on top of the world, then there will be no progress, and you will not be able to gain insight. It will become a hindrance to your progress. But and from another angle, if you look at it from another angle, it serves as a motivation to your continued mindfulness or continued progress, as an incentive. However, if you experience these illuminations, you tend to become delighted and think this, oh, very good. You regard it, consider this in high esteem. You think it's great, significant, and it will be a hindrance to your progress. So, as soon as it arises, you just note and abandon and continue along the Vipassana path, insight path. If you do that, just note and abandon, overcome these imperfections of insight, such as illuminations and all, they will disappear because you note and overcome. And then, after you have overcome these things, you will be able to become clearly aware of the arising and passing away of these objects of attention, such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and so on. After one has come to note these objects of attention, there are two parts in Pali: aramana, the noted object which you are noting, and the noting mind, aramanika, this is mentality. They will be observed to dissolve in pairs. In the earlier stage of insight, you are only seeing the dissolution of the noted object, but not yet the noting mind, the dissolution of the noting mind. So, although you are convinced of the impermanent nature of the noted object, you are not yet convinced about the impermanence of the noting mind as yet. Here, you observe the arising and passing away of both the noted mind and the noting mind and the noted object. Let us say when the heat arises in your body, suddenly you are aware of the heat. This awareness is noting mind, and the heat is noted object. These two things dissolve in pairs together. So the insight knowledge, knowing the dissolution of the noted object, in this case heat, is the fundamental or basic knowledge, basic awareness, and the awareness of the dissolution of the noting mind is a pretty Vipassana. It is stepped up awareness. So these two things, basic awareness and the stepped up or again awareness. In this way, you come to observe the knowledge of the dissolution of both the noting mind and the noted object, or the object and the noting mind dissolve in pairs, so that as much as you know the impermanent nature of the object, you come to also see the impermanent nature of the noting mind. So that seeing the impermanent nature of things, there is no perception of permanence. You overcome the perception of permanence. Seeing the unsatisfactory nature or unpleasurable nature of things, you overcome the perception or view of pleasure or satisfactoriness. And seeing that things arise at their own, not self, not so, then you overcome this view of perception of atta, self or soul. So that at this stage, being free from such perception or views, you are also free of mana, pride or conceit at that point, and also free from creating Dhamma, and also deity view, wrong view, by which you are at this time, your mind is quite pure. So at this stage, you are said to have come to the climax of insight knowledge of the arising, passing away, seeing the arising, passing of psychophysical phenomena. This is no sikha, but the climax of your training or practice. So at this stage, from the stage of this Bhanga Jnana, knowledge of dissolution, you overcome this, you are overcoming by abandoning the view of permanence, the view of pleasure or satisfactoriness, and the view of self or soul, atta. Thus, you have come to observe or cultivate this Bhāna Prajñā, full understanding as abandoning, as is given by this path of duty, Visuddhimagga. So this, at the stage of Bhangajnana, you are coming to this Bhāna Prajñā, the full understanding as abandoning, seeing the things as they really are, being with clear awareness, discriminating with discriminating knowledge. This is called Prajñā, full understanding. And this full understanding is of three kinds: Jnata Prajñā, full understanding as knowing. That is seeing the discernment of mind and body, or cause and effect process. The process of mind and body, and the process of conditionality. Seeing this in a discriminating manner is the first stage, Jnata Prajñā. And then when one continues to practice mindfulness, deepening one's concentration and insight, one comes to the universal, one comes to observe the universal characteristics of impermanence and so on, such as Tirana Prajñā. And then seeing the dissolution of both the object and the noting mind from the stage of Bhangajnana upwards, embarking along the progress of insight knowledge to the maturity of liberating wisdom, and overcoming these perceptions or views, as we have explained, is Bhāna Prajñā, full understanding as abandoning. So the first one, the Jnata Prajñā, is concerned with the Namarupa Parisuddha Jnana and Picca Prajñā, knowledge of the discernment of mind and body, and knowledge of conditionality. And as for the second one, is from the stage of Samasana Jnana to Uddiyabhya Jnana. And the third stage, that is the Bhāna Prajñā, the full understanding as abandoning, takes place from the stage of Bhangajnana, the knowledge of dissolution, upwards, until one realizes, one enters into Nibbana. Because one experiences or cultivates this Bhangajnana, knowledge of dissolution, seeing only the dissolution of psychophysical phenomena, and dissolution of mind-body process, such as seeing, hearing, and tasting, and hearing and seeing, tasting, touching, and all that. And one sees, experiences this, cultivates this knowledge known as Payajnana, appearance of terror. Not the real terror at this stage, but seeing them as frightful. They seem to be frightful, not the real fright, not the real terror, as one would experience in the ordinary sense. So they are seen as very fearful. Then one sees the danger or misery in it, such as Adinava Jnana, as another insight stage, contemplation of danger or misery. And once one contemplates as dangers and misery, contemplation of danger and misery, one comes to the insight knowledge known as Nibbida Jnana, the contemplation of dispassion or disgust or disenchantment. When one feels disgusted, dispassionate about the psychophysical phenomena and any phenomena arising, one wishes to be delivered from such things. This is knowledge of the desire for deliverance, Mokkha Dukkha Jnana. And in order to be released from such suffering, for deliverance, for the sake of deliverance, one stepped up in practice again, such as Patisankha Jnana, knowledge of the contemplation of reflection. And as one deepens one's concentration and insight, one comes to the final stage of Sankharupekkha Jnana, knowledge of the equanimity about formations, when you are able to observe these objects with indifference and equanimity and neutrality. The analogy given in the text is very mega from the to exemplify, to describe the experience of the yogis from the stage of Bhangajnana, knowledge of dissolution, or Bhangajnana, yes, knowledge of dissolution throughout the insight, progress of insight knowledge, is given this analogy of fisherman or fisherwoman or fishing woman has been given. In the text, it's quite interesting for the yogis. The analogy given is like this: a fisherman, a fisherwoman, cast her in the water with fishing net, or sometimes we use fishing baskets made of cane or bamboo to catch the fish. And after he has thrown it in the water, he or she has thrown it in the water, he or she feels that he or she has got a big catch. So one puts his or her hand into the net, into the basket, and got hold of seemingly a big catch. Oh, I got a big catch. Be a nice fish curry tonight, or fish mohinga, noodle soup tonight, or today. So he or she was very delighted. So got hold of it, and it was still in the water, and he or she took it out of the water. And what did he find? What did he or she find? A deadly poisonous snake with 3 stripes on its neck, like the stripes of an army sergeant. So three stripes. 3 stripes means it signifies a deadly poisonous snake. I don't know whether you have seen that or not. It would be dangerous to see that. So once he or she saw this, it was so dangerous that at this point, Sayadaw has just given this seeing of danger as terror, as bhayanyana at this stage. It's quite dangerous. He or she got a big catch. She thought it was a fish, now it was a deadly snake. So if he or she found out that what he or she thought was a big catch happened to be a deadly poisonous snake, what would you imagine? He or she would be very much frightened, terror. Then once one becomes frightened, one will see it as dangerous. One sees a danger. So once one sees it as a danger, one will not hang on to this. One will wish to let go, to throw it away. But how to throw it away? Once you get hold of this poisonous snake, if you release it slowly, it might bite you. So what has got to do? What he or she did was just wave or swing around this poisonous snake around his or her head 3 or 4 times. By this, at the same time, it was breaking. This swinging motion was breaking the bones, the backbones of the snake, and threw it away, cast it away at once, because he or she wants to be released from that. After it has thrown away to a safe distance, he or she ran away on the land, on the water, on land, and then looked back from a safe place. What had happened? So yogi has to think that before one sees the universal characteristic of impermanence and so on, all the dangers, one was delighted and or attached to one's sensibilities, such as the mind, body, aggregate, psychophysical aggregate, such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and so on. It's just like when the fisherman or woman caught this fish, thinking that it was a big catch, he or she was delighted to have a good catch for the day. These 3 stripes on the deadly poisonous snake is like the universal characteristic of impermanence and so on, and the psychophysical phenomena. Unless one sees the danger, one will always take delight in it. And even if one talks about it, that they are dangerous, all these things are not to be delighted, they don't like it. And especially in those developed countries who are enjoying the sensualities, sensual pleasures, they consider such talks of these impermanence and so on as depressing. That we are all talking about all these, bad things, which can depress or dishearten people, pessimistic view and things like that. It's just like not seeing the 3 stripes on the neck, or not seeing the dangerous, deadly poisonous snake, thinking that is a big catch. So in fact, it's not depressing, it's not to depress. The Buddha is giving the truth in order to realize the kind of happiness which manifold excels the usual worldly happiness, and to look for these dangers in the sensualities, find this unsatisfactoriness. If someone sees the danger, one will not be able to hang on to this. So these teachings are given in order to realize the happiness which is free of danger, which is free of offense, which is free of harm, from the grasping of the danger, from the freedom, towards the freedom from danger. So the teachings are not to not for your loss, not to depress people, but to see all these dangers in the psychophysical phenomena.